creating cultures that outperform. I hope you have been enjoying this series on innovation. I'm Frank Warner. I'm the CEO of People Productive, and I'm here with somebody quite amazing, Terry Mays, who's a certified culture engineer and always has many words of wisdom on how to create a truly high-performing culture. So today we're going to be actually covering episode 7 in the series, to challenge and connect with every level. Now, throughout this series, we've been setting the stage and going deeper into how you tap the innovative capacity of an organization. Every organization has an innovative capacity. Part of that capacity exists at each level of the organization. So you want to be able to challenge and connect with every level. And you have to take this enterprise strategy. You've been able to paint a picture and get everybody excited about it, but now you've got to bring it down and make it real for different people. And so we're going to dig into that today. It's a very important step because the innovative capacity of your organization is those subconscious minds working on solving this challenge that you have for the organization. And let's talk a little bit about how you do that, Tara.
Yeah. So this is where you start to connect the dots for people and help them understand how what they're working on fits into the overall strategy. What's in it for them? Like, why should they care about this strategy? So I think where organizations fail is they have this great strategy and they have their executive leaders talking about this strategy and how wonderful it is and how it's going to take us to the next level. But they never connect the dots between that high level strategy and what's happening on a day-to-day basis with people. And so they kind of feel that disconnect, which in turn makes them not really see what they're working on as very important or actually understand how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a leader, you want to make sure you're connecting the dots for them so that they understand why they should care. And once you give people that reason to care about it, you connect with them and you connect them and what they're doing to the overall strategies and goals for the company. You start to turn on people's creative juices. And now they're not just thinking about their work from the perspective of, let me just get it done, but they're thinking about it and they're being intentional about what they're doing. They're thinking about, how can I make this better? How can I make sure that we succeed as a company? And so now it's not just the executive leader strategy, but it's our strategy. It's my strategy. I have to play a part in this. I start to see how I fit into the puzzle. And now I'm trying to do everything that I can to make it successful. I'm going to do all of the things that I need to do. I'm going to help others also be successful because now it's not just somebody else's thing or the company's thing, but it's my thing too.
Yeah, I mean, it is just so super important to actually make this real for everybody. I think this is where companies go wrong. They get teams, they put these high-level strategies together, and then they fail to really engage or connect with every mind in the company. So each department or division, however you organize, needs to turn that enterprise strategy into a departmental strategy. Make that strategy something people at every level of the organization can relate to. And if you do that, then you turn that big picture into really some unique brushstrokes that every part of the company can actually relate to. And I think if you've done it right, then you've connected to the people. They found some meaning in this, some excitement, because they have to be emotionally connected to it. And if they're not emotionally connected to it, then they're not really engaged in, helping drive that vision that the enterprise has set for the organization as a whole. And so this is a very important step, and one just about every company gets wrong. I've seen it done wrong so many times. They fail to really take it and make it real for people at every level of the company. And it's a shame.
Yeah. Simon Sinek has that book, Start With Why. When you have people that know why they're doing what they're doing. So not that they're just going through and doing all these different things. And, you've got all these tasks that need to be completed. You've got all these different activities going on, all these different projects. But when people know why they're doing it, it changes the dynamic. It changes how you do what you do when you understand the why. You really start to dig a little bit deeper, and you want to make sure that it's done right when you know why you're doing it. If you're just doing a bunch of things that don't seem to correlate to each other, they don't seem to matter, they don't seem to interconnect in any way, then you start to feel like, does anybody even care?
Yeah.
But once somebody shows you, oh, yeah, we absolutely care about this and this is why, then you can start to tap into those resources in a much deeper level because now people understand, they get it. And once they start to get it, you don't have to push so hard to motivate them because they get why we're doing what we're doing. They get, the vision of where we're going and why we want to go there. So it's not just, some strategy on a page, words in a document, multi-page,
Yeah.
100-page PowerPoint presentation. It's no longer that. It's leapt up off the pages and into the hearts of the people. So now they get it, they understand. And so they can walk around talking vision and strategy because they get it.
That's right. They find it inspiring. They find it motivating. And what you're doing is you're really shifting their subconscious into gear. Most creativity is taking place in the subconscious. And we'll get into why you've got to remove the clutter and do other things so that the subconscious can actually work on it. And it can become a priority for them. So stay tuned. Those episodes are coming. But you're going to actually really get them excited, inspired, motivated. Their subconscious is going to shift into gear. And over a period of what may even be weeks and weeks, suddenly, if you've created the right environment, some ideas will start popping. So these are, longer term things. You could certainly get people in a room and gather a few ideas from anybody at any time. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about tapping the innovation potential of the organization, which is a bigger objective and something more long term. And when you consider the fact that 4,700 CEOs, actually 4,702, found that 40% of the work in the organization produces no value. There's a lot of wasted energy in companies, and even worse, because they're not tapping the innovation potential of the organization. 45% of these CEOs believe their company won't even exist in 10 years. They're not going to be able to keep up. So this is fundamental to success in an age like we're living in. This is the age of disruption. Things are changing. The pace of change is speeding up. Companies have to be adaptable, and that means they've got to be constantly innovating. That continuous innovation going on, exciting people, tapping the potential, getting the ideas, finding out which ones matter, and starting to really drive that change process through the organization. And you could do it. You've just got to change the way you work.
Yeah. You've got to connect that creativity and innovation into the strategy and design. You have to allow space for that. And the way you do that is by connecting the dots and helping people see how things relate and why it matters. And then give people the ability and the leeway to be creative. Give them the opportunity to come up with a different way of doing this because they've been thinking about it. They're going to come up with different ways of doing things, ways to improve processes. Don't be the Debbie Downer and tell
Yeah.
them no all the time. Encourage that creative mindset. That person that's been thinking that comes to you and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. What about this? What if we do it this way? What if we try this? Don't be afraid to let people try some things. Don't be afraid to get outside of that box of thinking because this is what you want. You want people, even if they come up with something that turns out to be a bad idea,
Yeah.
you still want to
Right
explore
on.
it. And we've talked
Yep.
about that, creativity only happens when you start failing. So you're going to do some things that don't work, that are really bad ideas.
That's
But
right.
don't just squash that energy. You want to encourage that energy by allowing people the space to fail and to be creative and to try
Yeah.
something different and new and innovative. And through that, you'll actually get closer to coming up with solutions that work, with things that are better, that things that do improve process. So give people the opportunity to fail and to explore. And we just talked about that. So if you missed those,
Episode 5, freedom to
yeah,
fail.
go
Yep.
back and look at that. You want to give people the opportunity to fail and to
Right.
explore and to learn because that's how you grow. It's through that failure process. We are so fail averse. We
Yep.
don't want to fall. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to miss the mark. But that truly is how you learn and how you grow is sometimes through making mistakes and or watching the mistakes of others, which is how I
Yeah.
like to learn.
That's a better way to do it. But
Yeah.
explore, learn, grow is a real thing. As an organization, you got to have the freedom to fail. People have to explore constantly. They got to be learning. They got to be growing. This is what really is going to take the organization forward. And so, you know, tapping the innovation capacity of the company can be done. You can increase the innovation capacity of your company by hiring creative. You can follow all these tactics and techniques. We're on episode 7. We got 14 episodes. And so tune in. I don't know if anything's more important than driving, getting to level 4 of cultural maturity where you're really starting to tap into innovation. And you got to get through level 3. That was really episode 1, the whole organization levels of maturity and how you have to climb to different levels, because this is a process. You've got to grow these capabilities in your organization. Leaders don't know how to do this. They've got to actually learn some new skills. And along the way, you got to measure, do people really care about the strategy at every level? Does it ring and resonate with them? You can collect data and you could say, did we do a good job communicating this? Have we inspired people at all levels of the company? And you'll quickly find out that you've hit this kind of ceiling on the way down. And you haven't been able to penetrate lower down into the organization, because that's usually what happens. And so data matters, double check and see how well you're doing. And listen, we're here every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We're covering different human factors of innovation. In the next episode, we're going to be going over creative abrasion. Creative abrasion is a real thing. You can type it in on Google. You'll see that it's been talked about. I wrote about it in my book. It's a real thing. It helps drive stuff. I think you should tune in and join us and go back and watch some of the prior episodes, because this all flows together. This is a powerful set of material, and you can make a real difference in your company if the leaders understand this and know how to use it. So, Tara, any parting thoughts?
This is a really good series, but one of the best things you can do is to reinvent yourself. We're in this season where things are changing so rapidly, where the companies that existed 10 years ago, some of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
And 10 years from now, some companies won't exist. So, in order to keep your company off that list of extinction, you really do have to reinvent yourself. And so, this is the time. Now is the time to reinvent yourself, because so many companies are doing that. We're being forced down that path of reinvention. So join in. Don't be a lagger. Don't be the one that's late to the party.
yeah,
Go ahead and start to analyze what areas where you need to reinvent yourself and do it. You will be thankful that you did.
that's right. Do it for everybody. Build that thriving company. So, listen, thanks for coming. We'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock.